As we continue to wait for the decision of the Supreme Court on the Second Amendment case regarding your constitutional right to carry, there's a particular case that I think has at least as deep of a concern when it comes to Second Amendment rights that has really gone somewhat unnoticed, mostly because it was deemed to be more of a Fourth Amendment case. And that's essentially a case referred to as Conoglia versus Strom. Now, what this was in regards to was there was a man, he was elderly, he was in an argument with his wife. He pulled a gun out, he laid it on the table, he said, "Why don't you just shoot me with this gun?" She called the police came, they took him to the hospital, and then proceeded to confiscate his firearms after he had left without his permission. This went to the Supreme Court. There's obviously a lot more details, but that's the general idea of this case. This went to the Supreme Court and they ruled in favor of the plaintiff. But it took months to finally, really the Supreme Court ended up having to step in and force those guns back to the original owner, because it just paused and people weren't really acting on what the Supreme Court said, primarily because of what's referred to as the Caretakers Act. And that's essentially this idea that if I get pulled over in my car and the police fear for my safety, they could remove me from my car, they can remove that car from the highway if it deems a dangerous thing to the rest of society. But that applies to a car, it doesn't apply to your house, which is why this ultimately led to a Fourth Amendment case. But the reaching aspect of this really leads, in my opinion, to red flag laws, which is why I think it's so amazing that this case did not get the attention it got, because I believe red flag laws are by far the most dangerous new law to our Constitution and to our freedoms, because it essentially says if any judge, without due process, if any judge decides that you are dangerous, they can confiscate your firearms. Or if any federal judge deems that a particular people group or a religious group are dangerous, they would confiscate their firearms. And I remind you, this is exactly how it played out in Nazi Germany in the 40s, late 30s. They had some of the freest gun laws. Everybody had the right to have as many guns as they wanted, and then they deemed that Jews were dangerous, so they confiscated their firearms, and we all saw how that played out. So I believe these red flag laws are by far the most dangerous laws out there, and what we're seeing is the abuse of the Caretakers Act in an effort to really go beyond red flag laws, go beyond the need of even a judge telling you to take them. This is just an officer deciding he is going to take them. So, and the reason that I even make this video is, yes, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the man who lost his guns, and yes, they're now forcing the authorities to return those firearms. But the fact that we're even in this place is what brings really, I don't want to say fear, but concern to me in regards to our Second Amendment rights are these red flag laws. And now the kind of blurring this red flag law with the Caretakers Act is a very, very dangerous thing. And just want to kind of bring some attention to it more than anything else, because there wasn't a lot of attention on this case. Not as much because they didn't say Second Amendment, they said Fourth Amendment, so it just all of a sudden changed everything for people, and people didn't pay attention to it as a Second Amendment case, because that's exactly what this is. It's in regards to confiscating firearms. It's a big deal, and it's a problem in this country, and it's becoming a bigger problem, and we have to put an end to red flag laws and this Caretaker Act extending into the home. So love to hear any thoughts or comments or insight on this. Put it below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel through Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.